Okay, so if we turn around and do it all again, that's 639 miles actually. But we have done a bit more than the 1,000 kilometers, but we did the 1,000 in Masspike, 95%, just topping off here after grabbing some breakfast on the way to another trip to Cleveland, Ohio. This one's going to be a bit different. You can see we've almost got the 621 miles that it takes to be 1,000 kilometers from this Metrowest location of just outside Boston in Framingham Service Plaza. So we're gonna see how quickly we can get across. Today we are not carrying anything except just the driver. How quickly, if we wanted to just jam out the miles and knock out this 1,000 kilometers, which is Bjørn Nyland's challenge, or 621.4 if you're going with Eric's challenge over at News Cullum. When we've done that with a family, it just hasn't been possible. We've got grocery shopping, meal stops, all kinds of stuff, and everybody needs to stop more often than the car. But we'll let this crank a little bit higher here, eat our food, and then we'll be on our way. Let's say 6:45 as the leaving time, and let's hit the road. Passing 100 miles into the journey, first 100, hitting the hills here at the Berkshires, so efficiency is never as good here. About 50 miles out from Albany, Electrify America, so plenty of miles having started from 100 and a little bit further in than we normally would, but wanted to record OBD data and battery temperature before we get into charging, so that we've got a baseline for that. Ambient temperature is 67 degrees out because we're pretty early on still here, and the battery temperature has been holding a pretty steady 77 degrees Fahrenheit, so we're all set on that. Good place to be to start a charge. Shouldn't go too much higher than that, at least for this first one, and then we'll see how it holds up over the course of this trip. So an ID4 there just pulled in alongside us, so we'll start roughly at the same time on this 350 kilowatt. Okay, fired right up. It's 350 kilowatt, but we're at 190. Don't really care, I need the toilet, so we're gonna get going and we'll see how this progresses. Okay, so just back, enough time to go to the restroom, Panera, coffee, and that's 65%, so even if you do that small break, yeah, you have a little while longer to wait, but not a whole lot there. We are down to 114 kilowatts, so that's not blazing fast, but it's enough to get us moving again pretty soon. Oh, so we are pretty high actually. It ramped up very quickly there, but may have gone a bit early, but either way we're still above 100 kilowatts and only doing 6 minutes to 80% here. 14 minutes has gone up about 30 degrees or maybe 25 degrees Fahrenheit. So got up there pretty quickly. We are in the direct sun here, so that's probably playing a bit of a role. No real shade. It's another thing that maybe factors in, you know, the shade ameliorating the effect of the sun. But in any case, this is going to be hopefully typical of what we get on most of these stops. We will go to the restroom, grab a drink or a snack, and within about 20 minutes, hopefully we'll be on our way again. Okay, approaching 80% now. But let's take a look at ours versus the ID4 here. They started a bit higher, not much, 32%, 17 minutes, they've done 26 kilowatt hours, so 32 to 67%, and charging at 68 kilowatts. We've just hit 80% in a bit less time, still doing 115 kilowatts, and we've hit 80%, so I'm going to stop it up. Slide that back. So this site sometimes gets negative reviews, but we've never had a problem here recently. It's all been good, so whatever. Nice stop. 17 minutes or so, we'll overlay it on the screen. And on our way to Syracuse. So coming up on the 200-mile check-in, and not too far off, a third of the way in. That's actually also bang on 3 hours traveling, so it's all nice round numbers. Battery temperature isn't as low as you might like it to be, for in the mid-70s as ambient, but we're driving, it's hot, direct suns, and its temperature's going up, so probably not going to get much lower than in the 80s right now. We'll see how that plays into charging. Nice little area here, right by the Erie Canal. Bunch of little towns, Utica, Amsterdam, and places on the Erie Canal. If that 3 hours to do 200 miles is typical, then we'll be somewhere between the 9 and 10 hour mark. Well, 10 hour mark, but we'll see. That's where we're at. I'm gonna see, maybe even if it's an extra stop, we'll do a really quick one and do a bit more of a charger hopping approach, to just get off quickly, crank in the juice, and then move on. We'll see how that goes for me. We're not quite halfway, but we've just passed the 4 hour mark, so it's making good time if we're anywhere close to halfway at that point. And we'll stop and see how the battery's looking, temperature, all that good stuff. So very close, nice and easy. And then we're just round the back here. So it was in use, 350 kilowatt when I checked in the app, but now it's obviously free. So we have our pick of the stations, nice and quiet back here. Put that up. Okay, so let's keep that quiet. Game's 0-0 at the moment, so no big shakes there. So yeah, 10:56, bit over 4 hours now, 4 hours 10 minutes. Just north of Syracuse on the Thruway, about a third of the way across upstate New York. Now let's get plugged in, because this is a timed let's go quickly run after all. So this is the way I'm starting it now. Always feels a bit quicker. Evolve New York with Electrify America, 350 kilowatt available. We just hit the start charge, and you'll see it says plug in now. You get your please plug in notice, so it saves a couple of seconds maybe, because it's sent the signal to the station already. Nice new hardware. This one was good last time, gave us a really good session up to, I think we actually got our peak on this one at 238 kilowatts. It always seems to work for us. Charging started 15%. If you hear an urgency in my voice, it's partially that this is a speed challenge, and partially because I need the toilet. So this ramping up is a good sign. Double check the battery temperature as we start here. Okay, so it's gone up a little bit, I would bet, so maybe we're starting around 84, 85 degrees Fahrenheit. Ambient is pretty much that now, so the temperature outside has kind of come up to meet the battery pack temperature, and already up to 215, so this is going to be a really good stop. Not only is it right off the Thruway and the interstate intersection there, just north of Syracuse, it's also fast, powerful. You do only have these 3 stations, but it's not so far a well-used or a heavily used location as far as we've seen. So anyway, I'm going to go up here around the edge, go to the restroom. We're only saying 17 minutes to 80%, so I'll have to look at distances and see where we're going to go. Okay, just got to appreciate the little things. Having a bin, that's always a nice thing. Thank you Marabuto and Evolve New York for thinking of the niceties. But anyway, that's how long it takes for a break. I guess you could be a bit quicker, but 10 minutes in, 15%, and we're just past 60%. 7 minutes left until 80. We're still doing 176 kilowatts. I didn't see what it peaked at, but whatever, doesn't really matter. The takeaway is, after your break of 10 minutes jumping in for coffee and the restroom, you are already above 60% and usually coming back to this kind of 5 to 10 minutes left in your charge. Also worth noting, we're super toasty again here. So you're seeing it throttle a little bit up and down. It obviously went down from 170s to 160s and 50s in a sec here, but it's way higher than it would normally go down. So this is, you know, it's probably going to do that heat cliff thing where at 80% it would plummet. I don't know if we'll wait for that. I may just get on here and move along, but just worth noting the battery is already at that toasty 160 in Fahrenheit. Okay, so with more than enough to get to Victor, I do think I want to do that and avoid Buffalo if we can. So maybe Victor, which is Rochester, New York, and then over to Erie. Anyway, I'm going to stop that. It's definitely giving itself some air conditioning to think of, or battery cooling. But there's the stop. Another 15-16 minute one, almost 50 kilowatt hours delivered. Pop that in, and we'll do another charger hop here to Victor and see how we go with that. So just a little past the halfway point. If we're talking 1,000 kilometers, 621 and a bit miles, we're coming up on 11:45, which would be the 5-hour mark. So halfway point, under 5 hours. Could do it in 10 still. That's with 2 charging breaks already, remember? Both getting pretty close to 80%. So pretty interesting. We've hit some traffic here. It's not too bad. It seems to be clearing up now. Not enough to affect the overall time, I don't think so. Looking good. The charging distances between things may not be optimal, but the speed is definitely good, and efficiency is just fine to keep us getting through these charges. So we'll keep going and we'll see how long we need on the next charger. Probably has to be a bit longer so we can get through to Erie, Pennsylvania, which would then be the last charge stop, and the home stretch. We talk about a mile off the interstate as good, but you know what you really want is 0.1 of a mile and in there. That's what's going to happen in the Thruway eventually, but for now we get these well located sites in the major cities, and it's almost as good, not quite. Okay, so far from optimal. This should be really under 30%, but this is where the charger is. This is the one that I wanted to stop at, so it's my choice. Hopefully it will still fire up to a pretty decent rate. We are on, you can see through the roof, charger 2. So we select charger, all are available, start charge, and we'll fire that up. So again, another Evolve New York, Electrify America co-branded. These brand new Signet units. Always like to see these. That black siding inspires confidence. I have very few problems with these stations, kind of like the ChargePoint CPE 250s. You always feel good to pull into one of those. We'll see what the power is able to give us. If we get a bit of a stint at 200, just all the better. I don't know if you can even see that with the sun. It's beating down now. This is going to be the hottest part of the day. We're past 150, past 170. Will it break 200? Yep. Alright, going way up. This was a good choice, I think. And as you can see, you know, busy but well placed, and not busy in the sense of having to fight traffic to get here. Jump off the interstate, drive a mile, and you're in place. So we're getting that 225. I'm going to stay in the car here, not even going to try and take a rest break, because one of the possible negatives of this site is you need to go to a restaurant or one of the fast food places to get a rest break. But that's fine when it's open. When it's closed, that's not so good. This is a little yoga shop which actually has a cafe if I'd wanted, but I'm still sipping this one from Mirabito. And then you've got your Five Guys. We've eaten over the hill in the beer project place, I think it was. Indian grill right there, which I'll try one day. And a few different things, so it's pretty good. Okay, so power is up and down here, but we did hit that early peak of 220 plus, so got to take the rough with the smooth, and it's getting up into that higher state of the pack as well. So these are the battery temperatures for posterity. Nothing that interesting happening there. We've seen higher, we've seen lower. The mileage is the big thing here. This is where we get into, you know, it would be nice to have this stop around Buffalo, something like this, where it's right off the interstate, because then you could get the advantage of the location plus the extra distance and being able to stop with the percentage state of charge a little closer to the 10-20% mark. So that's where we want to see, but you actually see this ramping up again, so it's going to be a good charge in any case. This is all good, don't mind that at all. Oh, and we've got a Rivian pulling in. Nice. Okay, so 168, I don't think it'll be a problem at 80%, maybe 85% to get close to 200 miles. We may have to be a bit more lenient on the accelerator, but let's see how far we go. Take that for what it is. Rivian's at 164 kilowatts. And we'll get on the road. 168 and 184 on the clock, so it's about right, what we wanted. And there we are, on the road again. So western edge of Rochester. So it's 12:45, so we're 6 hours in now. There's a little bit of a slowdown. It doesn't look too big, but it does say, it was saying 15 to 20 minutes just now. See if that changes as they clear it up. But that could hit us. We'll make a note of it as we hit 6 hours in. See if our progress notably slows. We should only have one more charging stop either way. Hopefully that's only 20 minutes. So we'll see what we have to add on here.
By going via I-90 West, which saves 17 minutes.
Well, let's see what that says. Seems to be an off and on. We'll see how well that does us. Did just come down in time from 3:38 to 3:18 p.m. So looks like Google might rescue this one. That's what we're avoiding. This is a fairly simple detour along the side of 90 West. We are presumably moving quicker than them, and hence the calculation of taking us down here. But hopefully not too much of a delay, and we'll still make our charger in reasonable time. Okay, 8 hours in. So where are we? Well, right on the borderline, not quite going to make it into Pennsylvania before the 8-hour mark. There it goes. But we have just about ticked over to 500 miles. So bang on the dot, 500 miles, 8 hours, 3 charge stops so far. Yep, Albany, Syracuse, Liverpool, and Victor. And the next, fourth and final, next in Erie, is just under 30 miles here. We have a good, comfortable 57, so no problems there. Bladder range is a problem. The border has a rest area, and I'm pretty ready to go now, so I think I might jump off, seeing as we're making good time, pop into the restroom and make that a quick break. Not for charging, but that'll give me more time to film. But making good time. 8 hours for 500 miles is very solid. Okay, didn't lose too much time with the pee break. And here we are at a slightly busier Erie, Pennsylvania, station 3, which is the 350. Start charge. We did have a bolt. She seems to have left, must have finished. She was saying this one didn't work, so not sure, we'll find out in a sec. It works for us, I guess. I wonder if she didn't hold the cable up. In any case, 350 kilowatt. This was the busiest station we've seen so far until the bolt left. We've got an ID4 next to us. And we will ramp up here to a very happy and healthy 215 kilowatts. So, starting around low 90s, let's say, Fahrenheit, and 22 minutes to 80%, and we only now have, it's under 100 miles to Cleveland. Now we usually go to Metrowest, but I'm going to count the 621 at some Cleveland landmark to take us through to the 1,000 kilometers. Alright, well, we'll figure that out. What we do know is Cleveland is around that, just under 100 miles, which we need. It's about 91 miles that we're going for here to hit that 621. And we are obviously climbing up here a little bit, still at 230, peaking, and we'll see when that collapses because it's pretty early into the pack here, and it's already at 104. I couldn't get the one that I started up on, which did give me full power, more or less, 220, 230 kilowatts on station 3 over there, but it didn't like it once it got to a certain temperature and just crapped out, couldn't get it to restart, so I moved to this one. We just need the mileage now, really, just need to crank in a little bit and then move on. So should still be out of here at a reasonable time, maybe a little after the kind of 3:45 I wanted to leave, but we'll see how the charge progresses. 110 degrees Fahrenheit on the battery pack. Yeah, so this summary hopefully just gives a kind of recap whilst we're finishing up the last charge and shouldn't need any more. So we find ourselves just before the 9-hour mark into the journey, so 3:35 here and coming up to 3:45, starting at 6:45 AM. So what do we need to say about the journey? Well, you know, 500 miles in 8 hours, pretty good. A lot of looking at temperature and seeing where the battery pack is at. Right now we're at 112 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's been a little bit higher than that. We've seen it up to 120 in other parts of journeys, but you know, essentially we're definitely at a point where it doesn't like being that hot. It's trying to regulate the flow, kind of balance the delivery of power, so you still get what this car is well known for, but also, you know, it's been fast charged. This is the 4th time. It's had 220, 230 kilowatts. Didn't notice any problems during the Albany charge when we were closer to the morning hours. Sun wasn't really up, but then you start to get into the midday charging, sitting in the sun, and it's maybe a case for the canopies. You know, I don't know how much it would help. You're still going to have a high ambient temperature, but keeping this equipment out of the sun and direct sunlight, aside from having it be a little less faded and you know, taking its toll on the machines and the exterior, maybe the internals do a little better as well. It seems like a good thing to have one way or another. So anyway, that's an aside. Really what we're looking at here is we have had quick sessions. Everything has been around about 15 to 20 minutes, just enough time to go in, get a restroom break, grab a drink and head out. So, you know, that's intentionally quick. It's not really the way I would like to travel, I would say. You know, with family, obviously, you slow down naturally because everybody has different things they want to do, and you try and make room for meals. But on this, it's doable. But there are places I would have liked to stop a bit more. You know, maybe in Victor I would have gone and had a sit-down kind of meal. You know, just to break up the journey a little bit. It's been really nice. The car is a good road tripper. You know, it's from a point of view of a place to sit and a nice place to be. Very spacious. It's a car that's capable, if you want it to, of really cranking out the miles, you know. So the ID4 is done. He did come in before us, so that's understandable. This will probably be our longest charge in total, certainly in terms of duration of sitting here, trying to get things to work. I mean, this one counts as a fail, I guess, because we had to change stalls. Maybe I could have got the other one to work, but when you have to shift position, I think it's fair to say it was not a ideal experience, but this would be the only one that I would say has been a bit of a pain in the bum. Nothing major, and we're not going to lose tons of time, but certainly, you know, these stations are the older ones. They have definitely had problems in the past that we've seen. Capably humming away here at 150 into 120 kilowatts without too much drama. So maybe you should sometimes just plug into the 150 and be happy with the stability. Battery temperature is actually going down here, so whatever the cooling is doing is working. We're going to unplug at 80%. Final piece of this journey. Still under 20 minutes, although when we add it together with the other stop and station 3 over there, we'll be probably closer to about 25, but even that isn't a bad stop, not at all. Okie dokie, more miles than we need, plenty of time, let's hit the road. Okay, so a minute before the 10-hour mark, which is more or less what it would take if you just did a straight shot in a gas car. Gas stop and we brake. Roughly 10 hours is about as fast as anyone can expect to do it without destroying their bladder, I guess. Well, we're in Ohio, that's one thing, so it's turned to 445. So, 593 miles in that time. So we're pretty close. Cleveland, 32 miles away. And there we go. Just for our European friends and Canadians, 976 kilometers, about 607 miles. And we'll do the countdown at 9999 in the famous Bjørn style. Okay, almost missed it. 9998. 9999999. Yeah! 1,000 kilometers. 508. So that was, as Cleveland looms in the distance. And to the side. Certainly I could trim some of it off. We could lose 5 minutes for toilet break in Pennsylvania without charging. We could lose a little bit probably for the detour. 10 hours, 23 minutes. I'm pretty happy with that.